Hello, and welcome to another short puppet review. Today, I'm actually doing something a little different and reviewing a Netflix movie. I don't think I've done that yet. I'm not quite sure why, because Netflix comes out with a lot of stuff, so it only makes sense to start reviewing their movies too. So that's what we're doing today. And we're starting off with a recent release that came out right when February hit called Velvet Buzzsaw. And, well, I like Velvet Buzzsaw for the same reasons. I kind of like American Horror Story. It's horrible, but somehow pleasing to the eye. I'm gonna explain that. To start, Velvet Buzzsaw fits Netflix's sort of we can do whatever we want feeling very well because it is weird. You know, you can sum up most Netflix content like that. It's just plain weird, man. No wonder they hired Alex Hirsch. I'm kind of terrified to see what they do with him. I'm getting off track there. The point is that Velvet Buzzsaw is another one of those weird trip-like movies. This time it's kind of a thriller, a little bit of a horror, all set around the art and museum industry, about fine art, the artists that make it, the collectors that buy it and get it into museums and the museum curators, and all of this trouble that goes down when they decide to put up these paintings from this old guy that died, who turned out to be possibly a mass murderer, and definitely had some screws loose in the head and underwent some weird testing facility psychological treatment that may or may not be linked to his paintings. That's never stated explicitly, but the general idea is that these guys' paintings are cursed. Anyone that has possession of these paintings gets cursed because somehow these paintings are able to communicate with other paintings and other artworks, and it uses those artworks to kill people. Yeah, it's that kind of movie. Now, that whole art murdering thing sounds really fascinating, right? Well, it only happens for certain parts of the film. And when it does happen, it's certainly creative and unique. There are definitely some of the most eye-catching moments of the film are watching how the haunted or cursed paintings use these different artworks to kill people. But in the most of it, you've got to deal with all of the museum curators and the artists and the fine arts people and the critics all talking in their little fine arts world, which, well, unless you had to study that or you are a part of that world, to a regular viewer, it can feel a bit of a drag. There's a lot of words that I did not understand. I asked Bosch because she did have art as a second major, so she understood some of what was happening, and especially kind of the weird stigma around the fine art world and what it represents, especially with modern art, because a lot of modern art just seems weird to normal people. But the whole movie just kind of revolves around that world, and it's a very strange world to look into. It certainly makes the film unique, but some of the dialogue is kind of hard to get through. And on top of that, Velvet Buzzsaw feels similar to American Horror Story for me because the deaths are all gruesome and horrific, but the people even more so. Man, what is it with it? These characters are just unlikable and unredeemable. They're all jerks to each other. They all seem like they're good companions, and then they're all backstabbing each other. They're all out for profit, and they just don't seem to care about anything unless it benefits themselves. The only one decent character in this movie is this poor 22-year-old art student that's just trying to make a living, Coco. Boy, I felt for Coco. She found almost all of the bodies. She wasn't even a part of this. She was just kind of an observer, and she got out. Well, she good. Good for you, Coco. I'm so glad you got out because you're the only one that was worth staying alive in this mess. Ugh. Everyone else, though, yeah, they kind of had what was coming to them, even though it was really brutal to watch at times. So overall, Velvet Buzzsaw is a Very aesthetically driven, very fascinating film to look at from a critical standpoint. It certainly explores the art world in ways I haven't quite seen a film do before when it's related to horror or thriller, and that was really neat to look into. But if you have a hard time dealing with American Horror Story like jerk characters and the fine art world as a whole, then getting through the first 2/3 of this film might not be for you. If you're really curious, you could just jump to the death scenes, or you could just go and find something else that fancies yourself a little bit better. And oh yeah, that title, Velvet Buzzsaw. I want to finish up by talking about that for a quick moment, because Velvet Buzzsaw is, you think that would be one of the names of one of the cursed paintings, right? Well, no, it turns out Velvet Buzzsaw is like this very specific person at the center of all of this, the museum curator that all the other main characters are more or less working for. She used to be an artist, and one of her main highlight pieces was called Velvet Buzzsaw. So technically the whole movie could be based around her and her psychological dealings and demise as she went from being a struggling artist to kind of being at the top of the heap as this museum curator and running everyone around like lackeys and figuring out how to pit them against each other, all for the sake of getting another quick buck. And her death, well, I'm not going to say much more, except I'm not going to go to the tattoo parlor anytime soon. That's all you need to know. If you're really curious, just go watch it for yourself. But even thinking about it again, gives me the heebies. So that was my thoughts on Velvet Buzzsaw. If you like this review, you can go ahead and put a pause up and press the like button. I'm excited that I'm kind of delving into the Netflix world of movies, even though a lot of them are really weird and really surreal, but it makes for an interesting watch. Not necessarily a rewatch, but a watch. So if you'd like to see more movies, more Netflix movies, comment below and let me know what you'd like me to see next. It can be a movie coming out in the movie theater, or even another Netflix movie. The sky's the limit, kind of. Well, it's the limit as far as what the boss is willing to pay for. But other than that, we take all of our suggestions into consideration based on our schedule and pricing and all of that fun stuff. But feel free to comment and suggest something below, and we'll certainly consider it. And everyone have a good night. Stay away from art pieces if they're haunted. Just stay away. I don't want anyone to die a horrible, grisly death. Hey, boss. Can we get rid of the owls? They're looking at me. No, I like the owl pictures. Ugh. Everything. I don't trust anything anymore. Ugh.